when you have, I would say, at what wit's end is someone at? I'll say, because typically, if I have a client that comes to me, they're at the point where it's like, we're hurting, we have a wound, we need some fixing, something like that. What is typically the emotional state of a client that once they come to you? What's kind of been typical?
I mean, it's pretty varied depending on
Mm-hmm.
the individual person. I do talk a lot with people about imposter syndrome,
Mm-hmm.
feeling like they're not enough and feeling like they're going to be found out, that they don't know what the heck they're doing,
Mm-hmm.
and they just magically were placed in this role and actually don't have the skills, which is a feeling that a lot of people suffer from, myself included. I've been there.
A lot
Um,
of people, especially in our community, right?
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. Um, and a lot of it also is conversation with people in our community of like how, I'm out, but I'm not like really out, and I haven't really like embraced it. I don't really, sort of
Mm-hmm.
shy away from conversations with my boss, but I'm sort of more open with these people, and just exploring how to like tap into your essence, who you are as a person,
Mm-hmm.
and how you want your leadership voice to sound, and how you want to be showing up as a leader in your organization. Um, so, I know some of the work that you do is sort of looking more at an organization and the culture and where they are. And I love
Mm-hmm.
your analogy of the wounds and the different like
Mm-hmm.
phases or levels there. Um, on the individual level, working with the leader, um, it's more about, you know where do you see yourself going, what's
Mm-hmm.
the vision, what's the path, where are you now, and what's the stuff that's getting in the way. And a lot
Mm-hmm.
of the stuff that's getting in the way can be the stuff like the imposter syndrome, or the I'm not sure how my like identity really fits in here, how to bring that into the space, fear of like failure, making a big career move and not sure what that's going to mean for
Mm-hmm.
me. There's a lot of stuff that goes on.
Yeah, the imposter phenomenon is, it's a huge thing for our community, that we're battling through every day. Because we're a moral dilemma. We can't deny that the argument ranks up for us with our rights, ranks up there with abortion. There's a moral dilemma with it. And typically, a lot of times, statistically, is we are from more communities, schools, areas that are marginalized, that we don't have a lot of acceptance. And so this whole idea that of the wrongness does become an imposter once we do get the opportunities where we feel we have reached this societal success, right? Then it becomes, can I even do it? Am I doing it? Am I doing it right? Because what my fear always was, I was always thinking, oh, it I have to overcome being who I am. I have to cover. I have to act a certain way because I have to stay in alignment, because the world says I I should be grateful for this, right?
Yeah.
And so that imposter phenomenon for me would kick in. And
Yeah.
that stress, that anxiety, that fear of termination, if I were to ask or say the wrong thing, or if I were to suggest something that was not in agreement with everyone else, but I felt was more correct method of doing something. Um, and that imposter syndrome, then for me, I had to go back further and just like, where's it coming from?
Mm.
So I would be curious to know how do you help your clients kind of work through that, because that is therapy. So how do
Well,
you do that? Because I know you're not a therapist. I know you're a career guide, specific to this niche, and our community. But how do you kind of help guide from that? Because that's a huge piece to tackle, uh, to then be able to answer, this is the kind of leader I want to be.
Yeah. The first thing I'll say to that is this is why it's so important to have representation and leadership because, the last company I worked for, the moment I stepped foot in that door, well, not the moment, but I had learned that there was an openly gay person on the executive team. And I
Mm.
like noticed that they had a really great relationship with the CEO. And like suddenly I felt really okay about being who I was because like, oh, it's okay at the most senior level and there's nothing wrong and he's very well respected. So, woof, like signal says I am good, like, and that's not an experience everyone has,
Uh-uh.
and that's sad. Which is why my work to help leaders really like develop into who they are and find their voice and really embrace that is so
Mm.
important, especially at the senior level.
Mm.
But to your question about specifically people experiencing this feelings of being an imposter, it is definitely very different for each person. Um, and what's underneath that definitely varies depending on the person's experience and like how they learned to believe that. One of the things that comes up frequently is this like need to be an expert, or this feeling like I have to be an expert in a topic. And if I don't feel like I'm an expert, then I feel like I'm an imposter. So
Mm.
part of that's like redefining what does an expert mean to you? How do you think
Mm.
about being an expert? What's a different way to define what it means to be an expert at your company?
Mm-hmm.
Um, what makes you
Mm.
as the head of people a really valuable contribution to this company. And it's actually very common in like HR senior people roles because we are expected to know everything. There is
Everything.
so much going on in the business. You're touching everything and you have to know
Mm.
everything. That's the
Mm-hmm.
expectation, but the truth is that just can't be. So it's helping people, one, instead of looking outward, to look
Mm-hmm.
around and say, this person is so confident and they're less like a senior vice president. If only I had that title, or if only I could embody their confidence, then I would
Mm.
feel better about who I
Yeah.
was. And the problem is you're comparing what you're seeing on the outside from someone else with what you're feeling on the inside,
Mm-hmm.
when in fact that person is also probably has or is also experiencing the same exact feelings that you are.
Mm-hmm.
And to that point, when I was on the executive team at my last company, I went and got drinks with our head of product after a long day, and we're just kind of getting to know each other, and we talked about being an imposter, and she said that to me, and I said, "There's no way. Like you are the most like put together
You?
badass. Like you got to be kidding me." She's like, "I feel that way all the time," and I was like, "I feel that way all the time. Like what?" And suddenly we
Wow.
had this connection,
That's a great
and
moment.
it felt really good to know that another person in the room like was feeling the same way as I was, and I had suddenly like a partner and someone who was on my team, and we could support each other. And so I always encourage people to share that stuff, right? And because
Yeah.
you never know what other people are experiencing on the inside.